I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Brian Wilson.
Well, should the Redskins change the name of the team? You've heard Lanny, you've heard Joe. Now you get to weigh in and tell us what you think. We go to the phone lines. Kim in Berryville, you're on with Brian and Larry. And by the way, I want to mention we're being visited in the studio by the friends at Fox 5. They got a camera here, so when you give us your thoughts, you may actually see them tonight on the local news. Kim, what do you think?
You know, we just lost Kim. Let's go to Joe in Centerville.
Hello, Joe. You're on
WMAL.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Phil here. Hello.
Go ahead. You're on.
Yeah, hey, I grew up on the Navajo Indian Reservation, and none of my Indian friends were ever offended by that name. Matter of fact, I think a lot of these tribal governments are run by liberals, but if you ask the average Indian on the street, they're happy with the name, and I'm sick and tired of these people trying to find offense where there is none.
All right, Joe, hold on. Are you still there?
Yeah,
Joe, you heard our friend Joe DeGeneva here, who we love him. We have him on every week. He made the case that the NFL will not sit and say to these members of the Oneida Nation, hello, all you Redskins. They won't use this to their face. Would that term be used on the reservation that you grew up on?
No, it wouldn't be, but you're talking about a name of a team, and it's all within the context of how you use it. Just like some people use the N-word in a certain context, and other people don't. So it just depends on the context.
All right, Joe. I think equating the term Redskins with the N-word does not necessarily support the idea of keeping the name.
All right, let's go to line 8. Tony in Southern Maryland, you're on with Brian and Larry. What is your thought, Tony?
Oh, my God. Leave the name alone. It is the name of a team. It is just a team. My dad rooted for that team. I root for that team. My son, who is part Cherokee, roots for this team. He wears burgundy and gold. My sister has season tickets to the team. Her son has season.
Well, hold on a minute, though. I'm happy that you support the team, and I get all that. But what do you say to those people who sincerely come to the table and make the case that this is a term that we find deeply offensive? I mean, you don't want to be offensive to people who are truly troubled by this name, do you?
Okay, let's take it to another level then. Get rid of the Navy's Apache. Get rid of the Navy's Tomahawk. Get rid of the Navy's Blackhawk. Get rid of my local alma mater of my 3 kids' high school, who happens to be the Chopticon Braves. Their logo is almost representing, is very similar to the logo of the Washington Redskins.
So you say, where do we stop?
It's a slippery slope. I hear you, Tony. Thank you for that very much. Donna in Frederick. Donna, you're on WMAL. What do you think of the debate we just had between Joe DeGeneva and Lanny Davis over the Redskins name?
Hi, I really enjoyed it. I never thought I'd be agreeing with Lanny on anything.
I know. We could hear our listeners' heads exploding all along the Beltway.
It was very entertaining, but I've got the politically correct name for the team. It would be perfect. Oh, I think Joe's going to love this one. The Washington Thinskins.
Well, that would... Listen, in politics, everybody's got a thin skin.
Thank you, Donna.
Kelly in Berryville, you're on with Brian and Larry. What do you think about this?
Hey, good morning, guys. I am sick to death of the wussification of America. If everybody who is against the name of the Redskins, if they can pony up $1 billion, $1.2 billion, they can buy the team and change the name. And I have never been a fan of Dan Snyder, but at least he is showing that he has a set. I'm sick of this. Have a great day.
You know, this is the one thing. We talked about this yesterday. Dan Snyder, was not the most popular of owners.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very controversial in many quarters. A lot of people who love the Redskins are not enamored of Dan Snyder.
No, they're
but
not.
As a result of this, I think he's really finding a fan base in this town.
And by the way, I think that the public relations challenge that Dan Snyder had up until this moment, you could hear Joe DeGeneva sort of utilizing that. He kept personalizing it to Dan Snyder rather than talking about the team itself. How about Alan in Caroline County? Alan, you're on WMAL. What do you think, Alan?
Hey, Alan.
Hello, good morning. I think Joe DeGeneva's statement about that he will not open the meeting by saying welcome all you Redskins is very misleading, because he would not walk into any courtroom or any meeting and say welcome all you whites, and nor would he say welcome all you blacks, even though the vast majority of black people want to be called black and not African American. So that is a very misleading statement and dishonest almost.
So you're saying that it's the term itself may not be demeaning, but by utilizing it to identify people, individuals as that race, that's the demeaning thing.
What I'm doing is I want Joe to spread his his specific position in this specific case across the board.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So thank you, Alan. So what he's saying is, calling someone a white person is not a racial slur. That being said, Joe did not walk into the studio this morning and look around and say, "Well, hello, all you white people."
All you white people, that's
gotcha.
right. All right, listen, I don't know if we should go here because he's a Cowboy fan, but Don in Woodbridge, what do you think about all this? Hello, Don.
I'm all for the Redskins, and they should not be changed. I agree with the other guy that Joe wouldn't go into a meeting. Well, he wouldn't go into a meeting and say, "Hi, y'all Braves or Chiefs or Indians," either. Secondly, hey, we ought to get rid of Buccaneers. Weren't they a bunch of marauding pirates? We ought to get rid of Vikings. Weren't they bloodthirsty villagers? And I'm 6'5", and I've been called a giant. I'm offended by the New York Giants.
Well, you should certainly be offended by how they're playing these days.
No doubt
All right,
about that.
Don, thanks for calling, and I'm really sorry about the horrible loss you're going to suffer this weekend at the hands of the Redskins.
That's right. We're sure sorry about that.
It's 7:44.
Phone lines are still jammed following that debate we had between Joe DeGenova and Lanny Davis.
I think we solved the question.
Yeah, well,
I think the issue is absolutely resolved now.
Well, I'm not sure it is at all. Mary in D.C., you are on with Brian and Larry. What do you think about all this?
Well, I think you're missing the point.
Okay.
You know,
As
the
usual.
Cowboys, that's offensive to women. Cowboy?
Oh.
So they should change it to what? Cow persons?
Cow pokes, cow hands, cow dung, I don't know.
Well, that's what I'll be calling them this weekend when they're playing the Redskins.
Mary,
All right, Mary,
you
thanks
are
for
so
that.
bad, Mary.
How about Dennis in Waldorf? Dennis, you're on WMAL. What'd you think of our debate here about the Redskins name?
Well, listen, I am a Redskins fan and a season ticket holder, and if these people have so much offense and they're so litigious about this, why don't they get a group together, get together $3 or $4 billion and buy the team?
Oh,
buy the team, they could change the name.
Well, the team, as far as we know, is not for sale.
Everything has a price.
Well, you see, I'm a season ticket holder. They changed the name. I'm gone.
Oh, really?
Wow.
And I think a lot of fans feel the same way.
All right, Dennis, thanks for that. You know, one thing Joe said that this is all about money, Dan Snyder's being greedy. You know, a cynic would say that if Dan Snyder really wanted to make money, he would change the name because he would sell. So imagine
He'll
if he
make a
said,
ton of money.
You know, as of January 1st, 2015, we will no longer offer Redskins paraphernalia.
Everybody would go out and buy the Redskins stuff. In fact, they'd probably make more of it to sell before the deadline.
Oh, you betcha.
Yeah, they would, absolutely.
And then when they introduce their new name and logo?
Everybody would go out and buy the new stuff.
And then 3 years later, they'd do the throwback and say, this year we're going to do a throwback uniform with the Redskins,
That's
and then
right.
everyone would buy that again. I mean, if you're really cynically speaking about money here, Dan Snyder could probably make more money in the long run by changing the name than not changing the name.
John in Olney, you're on with Brian and Larry. What do you think, John?
Good morning. I've really enjoyed this. Joe DeGenova is my go-to guy, 99.9999% of the time, but in this case, he is a paid spokesman by the Indian Nation, and I would that we could go back a few years before the retainer was paid. And
Well, hold on. I got to stop you because Joe says he's not getting paid for anything that he's doing here today. He has a relationship with Indian tribes, but not on this issue.
And he says that he and his wife Victoria do a lot of pro bono work for tribes about lots of different issues.
But let me also say that Lanny Davis has an association with Danny Snyder.
Right.
And I'm not sure he would hold that position. I mean, I wonder if he would feel that strongly about his position. Fair enough.
It's 7:50.